What's up, everybody? Boy, it's gonna be an interesting show. Very interesting show. Here's the skibby of it. Like I said, Wednesday night. Well, now Thursday morning, I guess. Um, we're gonna talk about the warrior class in the modern day. What's its role, and does it even exist? Hmm. I think that some good questions will come out of this. Some good statements. I think that we're gonna have to take a fundamental look. We're gonna have to take a fundamental statement of what is masculinity. Because you ever notice that men in the modern day does not define masculinity, everybody else can? Hmm. Got Louie in the building. Got Ray in the building. There's Brocause in the building. I'm gonna put this out there, and I agree with Sandog. We don't really have a need for it. We don't have one. It can't exist. It's supposed to exist, but the forces that be doesn't want it to exist. You may say that doesn't make sense, Charles. Why? Because anything masculine is always going to be tamped. It's always going to be tamped. Why? Because it's not meant to be controlled by normal forces. And that's what normally scares people. It's very devastating. It's very devastating because people want to control it. You're just a pit bull in a cog to a lot of people. I want you to think about this. And I've said this for many years now. To be on the side of accuracy, let's be very fair about this. There is no rite of passage for men. Name one. Everybody in the world, especially in the black community, can tell you what a real man can't, but you never hear a real man. Even gay men can tell you about masculinity, and nobody checks it. I want you to think about that. Even gay men are allowed to spew their rhetoric about masculinity more than masculine men can, so called masculine men. I want you to really put that in perspective. Put this in perspective for a second. No one only listens to you until there's times of great need or labor. Think about all the independent women and how many people didn't get shovels and got the snow off their cars or vehicles or plowed in front of their house. I want you to think about that. All these people did what? Did absolutely what? That's the only time. Oh, thank you for being a man. There was one time men would do dangerous things to prove their masculinity. How many of your sons can do 10 correct push ups? How many? I want you to think about that. You don't even emphasize on their education, their training, their physicality, but somehow, some way, you've coddled them for 18 years, and all of a sudden you want them to become a man magically. We're going to pray metaphorically for magical masculinity to exist. You don't respect masculine decisions. What makes a man a man? Interesting question, right? Hmm. Because masculinity deals a lot about capability and physicality, number one. Do I look at someone as Anton Daniels as a man? Take away his little bit of money, take away his little notoriety. Is he a man? And I'm gonna tell you why not. You're not gonna pontificate after all this shit between you and Corey for a whole week trying to maximize the money, trying to maximize the viewership, and then say, well, you won because your daughter's feelings got hurt. One, if two men had an argument and neither one of you came to blows or neither one of you said anything about it, you did it right there. What he did was not manly. Am I making an excuse for Corey? No, but I'm just going to let you know. If you're so concerned with your family and your daughter, you would have let that shit go. You would have let that shit go. Right now, the world can go back to a primitive state. Are you capable? Because what makes a man is going to be totally different of what a female will tell you. Let's be serious. It's not a soy boy. It's not somebody who's a reckless YN. It's someone who has the strength, the knowledge, the fortitude, the discipline, and the capability to hold influence over their life and the lives they raise. Notice I didn't even put money there because in a man's mind, money comes and goes. I'm not saying money's not needed, but it comes and goes. You can have a lot of money, but that doesn't mean you can have the money to raise a child. But if you don't put the time to do it, what's the point? I've seen poor people raise better kids than multi-billionaires. When you have the ability and conviction to tell the world no, especially when you're right. That's another problem. The lack of conviction is detrimental because females are truly afraid of true masculinity. Let's just get that out. They're afraid of it. They're truly afraid of masculinity. Why do you think every female who raises a son in the black community tamps their boys down? Because in a female's mind, it is very scary to do what? To have a man that does not need you. Women are not supposed to be independent. That is a lie. They are supposed to be interdependent. Interdependent. Because they got out of the natural order, which, let's face it, which puts them in danger. And this is the reason why they say, I don't feel protected. You know exactly why you don't feel protected? It's because the first rule of protection is what? Obedience. You are wayward. You are so wayward from your force and from your divine purpose, that which it may be. You are so separated from your divine purpose. Let me get that straight. Is that you wouldn't know sunlight from darkness. You want masculinity on your levels, your contentment. But if we ask from you, what do we get for the cost of our lives? You'll come back with us and say, I'm the table. How can you tell us that who protect you that I should be just happy to do it without any type of reciprocity, any type of loyalty, any type of leadership, any type of discernment? That's a fool's errand. Why do you think culturally you have to convince men to have families? Because biologically it does not benefit you. I know this might be a touchy subject for people, but the truth is, masculinity within the black community is what? What's a masculine man in today's black society? We can't even define what masculinity is in the totality of the American society. Let's even be real. You have a sitting Supreme Court justice on the bench who couldn't tell a congressional committee what defines a woman. What makes a man a man? Brutal honesty. And we're not talking about honesty in the terms of hurting people. We're talking about honesty within the confines of reality. There is no such thing as my truth, your truth, because that's how women lie. Let's just get that shit out there. Women come up with that bullshit so they can lie. Because one, a liar hates what? Accountability. They hate the fact that there must be some retribution paid. This is why they developed the lying spirit, aka the Jezebel spirit. I deserve, but I put forth no work. I think that I need the best. No, no. There's women I personally know right now who are single, who haven't even dug their cars out. Let me get to that, Ray, because we're gonna knock some heads off tonight. What makes a man is a life is a life of difficulty, hypervigilance, Somebody who damn near cannot fail. Let's be truthful. A woman can be called a mistake. This is the reason why I disagree with BGS. It's the same reason I disagree with crack. Why we still have crackheads. And there's no disrespect to BGS. It's just, hey, men are going to have difference of opinion. I would get it if it was like the 40s or 50s where people were a lot more modest and sexuality wasn't as rampant. But we truly live in the age of technology, which me and BGS both agree on. There's no such thing as I was trapped with a baby. When you got 33 different ways to prevent it, and most of your states still, you can abort them. Hell, let's even be truthful. This is the real difference between men and women if we're being very fucking honest. And boy, we're going to get very honest in this live stream today. So you better donate. You better get whoever you need to get to listen to this shit. Y'all need to fucking share this motherfucker because I'm going to hurt feelings today. The biggest difference between what makes a man versus a woman is that a woman can always be alleviated of her responsibilities and accountabilities at any given goddamn moment. And men cannot. Not one motherfucker in that entire video where the chick had two frozen babies who froze to death with the grandmother in the car. Not one person in there called her a deadbeat mom. They'll say she's struggling, she's fighting, she's going through hard times. Let you have a difference of agreement with the system, and guess what? You're a deadbeat. Let you do something that a woman does not. I had to tell my ex, you have a great relationship with your ex-husband now because he confides to what you want to do. Let him have a difference of opinion. Are you still going to be cooperative? Huh? You know what the fuck I'm talking about. You work well. Why? Because he's doing what you want to do. You are manipulating. You are influencing what you want to do. You don't do well with men who don't want to do what the fuck you do. And this is the same motherfucker who thinks you should be blessed with a guy with no kids, spiritual strong, all this other shit, or kids your same age. And especially if he has all his shit together, why would he deal with you when he could go younger? Why would he? Logic dictates shit. People say, Charles, you have this cockiness or arrogance. Like I talked to another female earlier today when she asked me a question. Do you think I'm soft or mean? Yeah, you mean as fuck. You have the capabilities of being nice, but you mean as fuck. Said it just like that. And then she tried to say, well, sometimes you need the right man to bring it out of you. And I said, that's total bullshit. Total bullshit. That's the equivalent of saying, if I find the right woman, I'm going to be the most masculine man since Prince Adam. See how logic gets defeated? See how illogical statements get defeated when you reverse the polarity? I'm going to say it again. See how illogical statements get easily defeated when you reverse the polarity? It's like mathematics. In order to check your work, you have to reverse engineer the equation, right? Even with the scientific equation, right? You have to reverse engineer your findings to see if he comes back to the source. If you're saying that the right man is going to make you ultra feminine, then the same could be said the right woman will make a man extra manly. No. That's in y'all nature. Oh! Trick bag number 2. If it's in our nature to be protective, then what is in y'all nature? And then here comes the shaming tactic that didn't work as well. Trick bag number 3. I'm a woman. How many? I said, do you date women? Do you date women? Either you got it or you don't. I'm going to ask everybody in the chat. If you're not strong, then what are you? If you're not strong, then what are you? You're weak. Is there any middle ground between strength and weakness? No, there's no middle ground. You either got it or you don't. Even in comic books, okay? There's no middle ground between being strong and being weak. There's no such thing as a middle ground. There's a middle ground within strength. There's a middle ground within weakness, but between them two, no. For example, who's physically strong? Like, matter of fact, I'm gonna catch you up on this. From a scale of 1 to 10, no. Let me back up for a minute. Does the character Spider Man have super strength? Yes or no? Yes or no? And you'll get my drift of why I'm asking these silly questions. From a scale of 1 to 10, where would you put Spider Man on the level of physical strength? From 1 to 10, where would you put him? From 1 to 10. Now, we've already established that he's super strong, many times stronger than a normal human being, right? Many times stronger. Just pick a number from 1 to 10. Where would you put him when it comes to physical strength? 10 being the highest, 1 being the lowest. Where would you put him? Okay, LAPD SWAT says 4. 4. It's just pretty damn strong. Lift a car, lift a truck, lift a really big tree, lift probably a tank. You say 7, right? Okay. Now, here's the simple caveat. Where would you put Superman on this list of physical strength from 1 to 10? Where would you put Superman in comparison to Spider-Man when it comes to super strength? Notice you see 10s. 10 would be like this motherfucker's moving celestial objects, planetary size objects with his bare hands. Some of you could even argue that he's actually 10 plus. There is pretty much no limit to his physical strength. But see, That's the reason why we have levels of strength, we have levels of weakness, but where does Spider Man compare to Superman when it comes to physical raw strength? Even when Spider Man met Superman in the comics, hell, they met several times, a few times. First time in the 70s, late 70s. He was pissed off at him and several punches to Superman's body. He ended up hurting his hands. So when we look at this, you have two people who are vastly stronger than human beings, but you got one guy who's about as powerful on the scale. He's more powerful in comparison to Spider-Man than Spider-Man is to normal human beings. You have a guy considered a god compared to a person who's very capable. And that's the example I give, a fun little example I give of the difference in strength. That's how the average man looks at the average woman. There is no in between weakness and strength. You have it or you don't. And when I tell her this shit, it's the same thing about femininity. You either have it or you don't. Because femininity is not mean by nature. I thought that would wake people up and get their interest. If you're saying the right type of guy can bring out your femininity, that means your femininity is not natural. There's a cost to it. There's a price on it. You're basically saying my femininity is just retail. It can be bought and sold. There's no true loyalty towards it. You're right, Bay. It's all an act. But when I gave her the example of men, and this lets you know how fucking females think about you, that's the equivalent of me saying, I'll be the most masculine person if you're a good woman. But no, that's in your nature. So what the fuck's in your nature? How can you dictate my nature, but I can't dictate your nature? Hmm. I told you, we getting the gospel of the God of War today. We going deep. Stop letting other motherfuckers dictate your nature. To further go into what T. Riddler asked about what makes a man is going through the hero's journey, not being afraid to fail. Well, we have a reclusive issue with black masculinity is that we have a fear of trying. We don't even want to even attempt to fail. We don't even want to try. We don't even want to be analytic with our failures and our triumphs. We don't even want to go there. Let's say you have more in common with the ratchet welfare bitch than the men of old, the men of adventure. Back in the day, you couldn't wear tattoos on your skin unless you were part of three organizations. One, a gang, a biker gang, and put in work. Two, the military, and you went to catalog your travels and what you done, and put in some work. And number three, a sideshow for a carnival. And yes, we know there's tribal tattoos and all that other good shit, but we're talking about Americans. Tattoos were what? Symbols of toughness. Why do you think the tattoo craze has went exploded in the last 20 years? That's one of the makeups, one of the facetious facades that people put in for masculinity. Tattoos make you look grittier and tougher. They tell a story. And one of the worst things you could do is fake the funk. Well, I got this tat. What did you do that was tough? What did you do that was daring? What war did you fight? What rival gang did you beat up? And we're not talking about the gangs now. We're talking about we gonna meet in the middle of a fucking road. We're gonna have some knives, some chains, and we're gonna rumble. Hell, we're not even gonna bring weapons. We're gonna fucking rumble. Because black masculinity is begging all day. See, here's the crazy part, right? Do I believe people should pay for their intellectual properties? Yes. But I'm not going to beg you 24/7 for. I'll put the Cash App in the ticker. I'll put it in the chat. If you decide to do it, you decide to do it. Not going to make a break. I appreciate anybody's hard earned dollar being donated to me and you feel as though anything that it was worth your time. I appreciate that from the bottom of my heart to the top of it. But back to the story. Notice that every kid wants to put on a tattoo in our community. Every kid wants to be the thug. Every little boy wants to throw up his fingers like he got cerebral palsy or some shit because they don't know any other avenue of toughness. Okay? Yeah, pick it up when I put it down. See, like Louis, when he went to the Marine Corps, they had what's called, what we talked about before, a crucible, which literally means a crusade of endurance. Can you endure lack of sleep, lack of food, lack of rest, lack of relaxation? Have you ever taken yourself out of comfort for long periods of time? Is the most masculine shit you could do. Have you ever been so close to an honorable, and I do mean honorable, body of work where what's the most dangerous thing you can come close to death? See, women get to be alleviated by certain things because a lot of times you weren't a woman until you gave birth because that's the closest you'll naturally come to death without dying. Why do you think men's value lasts longer? Because it's earned. They are born with their value. We have to earn ours. That's another thing that people don't even understand something. That's another thing people don't understand something. What makes a man a man? You earn your fucking value in life. You earn your value in death. You're not a fucking man if you're going out there wreaking havoc in the streets and motherfuckers gotta have a GoFundMe to bury your ill-gotten ass. The only thing you leave your children is alone and some social problems. But nobody don't want to hear it. Charles is crazy. Charles is sexist. Charles is this. Charles is that. But tell me, not one motherfucker ever said Charles is wrong. What's the one thing I always said that determines if you're really a conservative? What is your body of fucking service? Why do you think they made it mandatory for high school students to do volunteer work? But y'all don't hear me though. Y'all don't hear me though. You wonder why masculinity is at an all-time low is because one, it's been goddamn damn near bred out of you. You don't have a lack of ambition. And see, ambition is not the same way women look at ambition because men know something that women don't, and that's contentment. I can live in my room, collect my action figures, mount my TV on the wall, wear my clothes, go to the harbor with my speaker, my cigars, and my liquor. Excuse me. Grab some food, and I'm good. But what we won't do is talk about what I'm gonna do to make you better. Last time I checked, whatever God you serve said I am the captain of my ship and the master of my fate. See, what makes a man is dominion. And dominion does not mean I'm the man, you do what I say. You earn your command. You start as a subordinate until you become a leader. But y'all never heard this shit before. Mm. That's why you have a rites of passage. That's why you have a rites of passage. Any of these so-called black conservatives, how many of them tell you about their lengthy service career? When have they served? Peace Corps, military, police, EMT, firefighter, feeding the poor. What's your service? Because service shows how much love you have for the community. Service shows you how to not, negate your responsibility to the community. So when we look at this, and when Shorty told me it's in a man's nature, then not one motherfucking woman could ever tell me what the fuck's in a woman's nature. I'm going to tell you this funny shit, right? I was persistent trying to get this chick's number. Persistent. There's a difference between persistent and simping. Simping is making a fool of yourself for the purpose of trying to get a woman. Persistence is like, I like that, I want that, I'm going to try to go get it in the best ways that I can, earnestly, without dirty macking, without trying to throw money. I'm going to use my personality and whatever good looks God blessed me with or didn't bless me with. This chick who looks like she's 27, 47, and she's a lawyer for 20 years, literally has one of the most feminine voices ever. Basketball scholarship and everything. Tomboyish. There's a reason why I probably dated a lot of tomboys because they're fun. They get it. Here's the part about it. Feminine, that was her natural state of being feminine. Natural, you could hear it. That's her natural state. The average chick in Baltimore is masculine as fuck. And I mean, yeah, you mean as fuck. Can you be nice? Sure. But your natural state does not come off as dainty and soft. Well, I can be soft. That's telling a woman I can be strong. That's the same thing you're telling us. You're turning me off. It goes back into what I said. Men can't alleviate for their responsibilities. They say, well, you can always be strong. You don't always have to be strong. I know, but I can't never not be that in front of you and my kids. Mm-mm. You can cry in front of me and in front of your kids. I cannot. I want you to think about that. I cannot. I can't be weak in front of you. I could be weak in front of other men because they get it. And my bros. I can't be weak in front of you. You'll start respecting me. Masculinity is so bastardized that look at the LGBT community in the black community. You're either going to be the ratchet bitch or the thug if you're the dyke or lesbian or whatever the fuck you want to call the stud. You want to be the hood nigga because that's what you think is the most masculine. Have you ever seen people so masculine that they made studs and lesbians get real feminine around them because of that energy they exude? I've done it several times. You get real feminine because of that energy that I exude. And I don't have to be the thug. I don't have to be the so-called tough guy. Did you earn your stripes? See, that's the part about the whole tattoo game. Notice it used to be the gentleman. Let's talk about Malcolm X and Dr. King's day. Damn near every black guy wanted to be the smooth operator. They wanted to be the gentleman. He can handle business, but he wanted to look tight. He wanted to not look lost in a conversation. Notice the upper echelon of black masculinity looks like a goddamn high school boy. You got billionaires and millionaires, athletes and other people who dress like fucking teenage boys. People might say, well, Charles, you probably did the dress up thing early. Actually, my boys, I've been doing that shit for a long time. The one thing about black masculinity is this, and it's clear. A lot of you motherfuckers are afraid to grow the fuck up. And I'm not talking about the recreational shit like video games, comic books, anime. I'm talking about stop being afraid to tell people no, to check a motherfucker respectfully, to be the man. Stop being afraid to take command. Stop being afraid to be in charge and dictate leadership in a righteous and professional way. That's the part of growing the fuck up, I mean. We live in a community where the 20 something year old thinks he's equal to the 40 something year old. And you wonder why you're failing. You're not my fucking equal. You haven't lived hell. There's shit that motherfuckers couldn't tell me at 19 in their 30s because they were so fucking, what, delayed in their adulthood. Hell, they suffered from what I like to call masculine retardation. Put that in the chat. Masculine retardation. You regressed in your masculinity. Everybody needs help, but when the fuck did you initiate anything on your own? You gonna tell me a 25-year-old man in America is more manlier than a fucking 9-year-old sheep herder in Afghanistan? The fuck out of here. You're not even quintessentially a man. Hold that thought, Ray. We'll get to that for a second. Matter of fact, I'll answer it now. I personally think the show Wonder Man is probably the best shit Disney Plus did in a long time. Not just with Marvel, but Disney as a whole. Yes, he was very manly. Yes, 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 yes. When his brother shitted on him, did he hold frame? Yes. Did he take his anger out on other people? Did he put his ass on the line for what he wanted? Did he go outside of his lane of comfort? Did he have faith in himself that everybody else around him did not? Come on, Ray. Did he believe in himself when everybody else didn't? Did he go outside his place of comfort? He could have just stayed at his mom's house. Did he diligently work on his craft? Did he fail and pick himself back up to go forward? Even when he was encouraged by Homeboy who played the Mandarin, did he somehow find the integrity, the dedication, and the discipline to come back even harder and show them who he really is and what his capabilities truly are? That's the most masculine shit you could ever do. That's why I saw the show, I binge watched it, and I said it's one of the best shows they ever created on that fucking streaming service. Because now you didn't see him whine about it. You might have seen him hurt. You might have seen him disappointed, but you never seen him stop going forward. Even when he let off some steam, he still had the responsibility of making sure he didn't hurt anyone else. And then what happened? He did another masculine trait. He repaid the people that helped him along the way. But y'all don't hear me though. Y'all don't hear me though. Wonder Man is a return back to masculinity. He was not a Michael Sue. He wasn't given the great. And the beautiful thing about it is they showed you that not every superpowered being has this luxury lifestyle that you see for all the Avengers. You will see his failures, his triumphs, and his rebirth. Yes, go watch Wonder Man. Some people may say it's a little slow. Yes, because it's called storytelling. If you read some of the chapters, Bay and Loss had the pleasure, and I had the pleasure of them critiquing my work. By the way, Bay, we're going to keep the original names for the planets. Keep the original names because a lot of the story dictates from those planets and the reason why. I'll tell you later. Um, Masculinity also knows restraint. You don't have males who understand restraint. Well, Wonder Man in the comics is one of the strongest beings. So he's pretty fucking strong and he's pretty much immortal. But, this is the part where I could tell people's age. Instead of worrying about if he could go toe to toe, read about the character and see his personality. A lot of you don't even know that Simon Williams and Hank McCoy are best friends. Some of their best comic book moments is when they're like two frat boys chasing women. And if you don't know who Hank McCoy is, that's the Beast. Wonder Man and the Beast has some of the best buddy comics. Wonder Man originally was a villain in the against the Avengers. He was able to go toe to toe against Thor. He died saving the Avengers. He was resurrected and became an Avenger. There's a lot of times that masculinity must know restraint. Lost, what's one of the greatest superpowers of one of my main characters? It's his goddamn restraint. Yep. Knows when to stop and show restraint. That whole story is a book of masculinity. There's many times I put a lot of my personal experience into that story in those many chapters where I had to show restraint. Where if I just was off my hinges, I could have flat out killed people with my bare hands. Just from skill alone. Bow. Broken limbs for the littlest of offenses. But you have to show restraint because every bit of force is not needed. You elevate it to the force that's needed, no more, no less. This is the reason why, if you ever notice, femininity does what? You never hear how females need to show restraint. Males have to. Not only because of your physical strength, it's because of your discernment. You have to judge properly. So sometimes restraining gives you time to give a proper verdict and a proper decision. When you explain this to females, it's foreign. This is why, when you look at the current rites of passage, you look at the current ethics, are you taught out the average black community or the black household to be loyal, to be disciplined, to obey your superiors, to be selfless in service? No, you're taught to be a female, which are females are naturally and biologically selfish. You're taught to be lazy. That's an excellent question, T. Riddler. And I'm going to hit on that. Excellent question. T. Riddler said, correct me if I'm wrong, Charles, but don't you see more frequent cases where mothers are overly beating a child than a father? Is that generally because women don't understand restraint? Yes. Yes. Women are easily frustrated creatures. All of them. They're easily frustrated. Especially black women. They want to do this superwoman. I gotta save the world bullshit. Men will say fuck all that. I gotta deal with me. Men see themselves in a boy, and they get it. They get it. In the black community, it's the running gag on how, oh, my mother used to beat the fuck out of us. They used to fuck us up. Blah, 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 blah. We make humor out of fucking abuse. Okay? We make humor out of abuse, which is sick. Men teach. They teach discernment. If a man has to discipline a child, they're going to tell you why. And most of it doesn't need, you don't need physical force, because the worst thing you can ever say to a son is that you disappoint me and shame me. If your father tells you, if you really respect your father, you would rather get your ass beat than to make him feel ashamed of you. Because we live in a bastardized society, because we have this bullshit, this bullshit version of masculinity, we think that beating the hell out of a child and not explaining why your actions are not needed or not teaching the child correctly in the first place is discipline. I'm here to tell you, discipline without love is only abuse. Discipline without love is only abuse. Those women are frustrated because, one, how are you going to understand your boy? when you don't even understand them. I just gave you an example of a female telling me that you need a man to bring out her femininity. No, you don't. If you're naturally a feminine woman, that's just your natural way of being. That's just a bullshit cop out way of saying, I don't want to be feminine. I'm happy being rough. You don't exude femininity. If I say, if you ask me a question, do I come off mean? And I tell you yes, guess what? You're not naturally feminine. You come off very dudeish. Just like she tried to say, well, Charles, you're a nice guy. I'm not a nice guy. I'm an honorable man. A nice guy is somebody that's going to be walked around. She got mad with me. I'm about to eat my breakfast. Okay, see ya. Boom, and I hung up. I don't got to argue with you. If you're not smart enough to see what the fuck I'm saying, that's not my burden. Your stupidity is not my burden. Okay? Your lack of knowledge is not my crisis. I want you to think about it. Sigmund Freud always asked you about your mother. Your mother stopped being your mother when you're around a teenager, right? She's your mother in name, but what can she really teach you after that? I'm gonna teach you something real heavy before I open up the panel. Have you noticed that? Now we're just go by the black community. The average black mother will teach their daughters how to manipulate men for their goods and services, but they never teach their sons how to basically counter that manipulation tactic. They never teach their sons on what type of women to pick. Oh, she's trying to go to child support, so you need to do this. She'll literally go to court with you, but she'll never tell you how to prevent to going to court in the first place. I've seen it many of times. A chick will put a baby on a boy, and they want the baby to be the boy's only because they want a grandchild. A father is going to be logical. A father is going to notice people talk about the lessons their father taught them and not their mother. Because women's maturity, it's very limited. I hate to say it, but it's very limited. There's women who I told years ago, your family, in so many words, your family ain't shit. You got to worry about you. No, I got to go save them. And then look at you. When you're down and out, when you're sick of your health, look who's for you. Look who's for you. Yes. Yes. If I come to a female's house, yes, you should feed me. Because while you're around, you know you got protection. While you're around, you don't have to lift heavy shit. While I'm around, you have that masculine energy that's healing. You can learn something. When I broke down the ice situation to one of my female friends, guess what? Even she was amazed, and this is a motherfucker with two masters. The reason why I could talk about ice, why? Because I'm in the field for 20 plus years. The fuck could people teach me? Well, I said, they teach the men to be cannon fodder for the system or to be servants towards the females around. Exactly. You don't teach the boys how to build up a defense against feminine wiles and manipulation and the Jezebel spirit. You teach black boys to be fucking golems, a soulless creature that only comes to life to do others' bidding and protection. You're a fucking golem. You're a fucking golem. I can talk about masculinity. I'll get some dumbass troll trying to interrupt the fucking conversation. But the people who need to hear it will rebuke it the most. How about them fucking apples? How many times Sandog tell you you don't know diplomacy? I've said it many a times. One of the biggest problems in the black community, you don't know when to give the olive branch and you don't know when to give people the sword. And then you wonder why continuously you are fucked. Continuously. You're going through such a degradation that when the boys are ready to learn, it's already too damn late. So many young men have been feminized in such a way that you rather be agents of chaos instead of being men of order. This is how I'm going to say this before I open up the panel. I remember years ago, some dumb biddy, because in my channel, we know the difference between a lady, a woman, and a bitch. Okay? Just like we know the difference between a gentleman, a man, and a nigga. This biddy said that the thugs is the warrior class. The warrior class has never been the thug. A thug is a negative connotation, and it always should be, and always will be. A thug is a strong armed or petty thief or criminal. They are the cutthroats, the hired goons. You ever notice they start calling themselves soldiers and they call themselves goons? You allow women to dictate your masculinity so badly that you fail at the discernment to say no. To say no. It's not tough to be on a corner or stealing from people or putting a gun to innocent people's face who can't protect themselves. It's tougher raising a goddamn family. It's tougher being dedicated to your school. It's tougher being studious. It's tougher going through basic or going through some advanced military training. True masculinity is not easy. It's not masculine to create a baby. It's masculine to cultivate that baby. And we do it better than the women. Toughness is not just about enduring hardship. Toughness is actually about the maintenance of peace. It is very hard to maintain peace. Law said when I was coming up, the gangster, whether legal or illegal, always kept himself with a hustle or some type of work, even if they looked down at the thug. You never wanted to be called a thug here at the bottom, of course. See, it's tough maintaining peace. It's tough maintaining order. I've told women, you will one day have to respect men because if men stop doing their jobs, this fucking planet will spin off his axis. This snowstorm showed you how vital a man is. And even when that boy has reinforcements to their masculinity, you say no. But I'm like reading Rainbow. You ain't got to take my word for it. Let me open up this panel. Am I making sense, chat? That the warrior class, where does the warrior class actually fit? Because there's almost like a hatred to it. You don't have warriors. You don't develop warriors. Every warrior class in history are intellectuals. You had to take tests. You can't go into the fucking militaries of the world without taking a fucking test. Well, you got more rogues than anything. And rogues don't last long. I want you to think about that. You have this massive bastardization of masculinity, and people get mad about it when you point it out. Nobody wants to be the square. The hardest person to be is the square. You can literally walk out your house and literally do some dumb shit. It's easy. It is hard to be a square. I want you to think about that. Most of these chicks know who to fucking play the child support game against. They're not gonna put the fucking drug dealer on child support. A couple of my female friends talk about their kids. I never put such and such on child support. I know because you wouldn't have got shit. You knew what the fuck you were doing. That's not a flex. You knew what the fuck you were doing. You knew you weren't gonna get shit. And here's the craziest part. When less than 50% of men in the history of the world reproduce, what does that tell you? Decisions were made before you even came to be. She knew what type of man she wanted her kids to be by. You're a victim of your fucking circumstances. You're a victim of your fate. And the whole time, you got to say to yourself, what am I doing? There comes a time in a man's life, what am I doing? What the hell am I doing? This chick says she likes me. She's really give me all the pussy in the world. Okay. Because me personally, I can separate sex from relationship very quickly. I can do that instantaneously, really. But yet, I'm the first person to tell you. Know what you want out of her, know what it can be, and know what it can't be. And the sad part about it is that what? You didn't put your boundaries up to say, hey, what are we going to do? What are we going to do? What are we going to dictate? Am I able to go on my own path? Am I going to be able to go seek wiser counsel? Am I going to be crucified for wanting better, to seek the world for what it is and not what I perceive it to be? Nope, not going to do that. Know why? Because the straight and narrow path is always going to be the most difficult one. The straight and narrow is always the difficult one. Think about this. The Japanese samurai in their warrior class had to learn calligraphy, martial arts, weaponry, poetry, musical instruments. The knights of medieval Europe, they had classes on how to woo women, how to write poetry. Even in Egyptian cultures. Even in Egyptian cultures. Well, that's not really manly. How would you know? You can tell me about manly, but yet you don't want to hold to a man's principles. I want to really emphasize this part. You can't say you're part of the warrior class if you never wanted to be the warrior and you never wanted to be the intellectual. I tell people this all the time. The warrior class is a very distinct one. You cannot go out there and say I'm a warrior if you're not trying to be part of the learned, if you're not trying to be one of the learned folks. Military service, which is the warrior class, is usually the fastest way out of poverty. And it's been that way since its inception. Well, no, you got to understand. Nope. Nope. There's a reason why these women love their thugs. Because they're afraid to have a man that's truly smarter than them. Any other race, their women want a man they can look up to. In our race, they want men they can look down upon. It's your fault. It's your reason. If we haven't gotten this through our fucking skulls, we never will. To answer the question, where's the warrior class fit? It may not. May not have fit it properly in today's society. You literally said everything masculine is wrong. You put all the benefits in women for so long that your sons want to say, hey, I might as well be a woman too to get some benefits, to get some love and appreciation and some admiration. At some point, something's got to give. At some point, we're going to have to make a choice. And that choice is not going to be concerned whether with people outside of the black race and even what our women will say. What will we be known for? We shouldn't be known for thuggery, violence. You have too many men of intellectual prowess to confuse us with. But what does the media and what do we uphold? If we're not doing what we need to do to survive, well, it's definitely a control factor. If we're not doing what we need to do to survive, then we need to make it and put a rule out there and put out a statement that says certain groups of people do not speak for us. We shouldn't be ashamed of it either. And what makes it really sad is that have you noticed that after they get done with men, even when they have kids, they go to women. And even the women are tired of them. To just let you know that we have a really bastardized society. If you want to correct the problem, you're going to have to make choices, and some of them choices are going to separate you from the group. You're going to have to be okay with that. You're going to have some hard times. Don't be upset when the hard times come. A lot of times we got to embrace them. Are we going to actually decide for ourselves, or are we going to keep letting other people dictate for us? I'm just asking for a friend. It's both. As a man, you choose your purpose, and there's sometimes your purpose is chosen for you. For example, when I showed my mom out, I was going through a parking lot, and this Hispanic guy was having trouble getting his van out the snow and ice. I had my shovels with me, helped him out. Got in the driver's seat, showed him how to do it, jerked the damn van, used the momentum, got him out there. In front of him was another guy stuck. Helped pushed him. Guess what? That wasn't my chosen purpose. God sometimes not just put you where you wanted, He puts you mostly where you needed. And that's what a lot of people forsake in masculinity. Masculinity, a lot of times you're put where you're needed. All hands on deck. So when people say, well, it's not my responsibility, either you take care of the problem while it's small, or you're going to be taking care of that motherfucker when it grows. And sometimes when it gets bigger, it may be out of your control. It may be out of your control. This is the reason why men have a bigger responsibility to the world than even our women. Because why? When there's an emergency, do you pick the time and place an emergency happens? Or are you given the responsibility to pull people to safety? When they keep hollering, I don't need a man, what does the world show them? You need a man more than you thought. Think about it. When danger comes, nobody's looking for a woman. Even if think about this. I'm gonna bring this to people's attention. Remember 9/11? I bet you during 9/11 there were no independent women. None. The number of sacrifice men give of their lives compared to women is insurmountable. Cannot even be compared. A lot of our purpose is thrust upon us. The difference is from the men of yesteryear to year today, we're not afraid to talk about our value in the scheme of things. We're not afraid to do that. What happens when men actually find their purpose simultaneously finding their worth? That's what scares people. What scares people is that their purpose can sometimes be temporary and just to test you to go to newer grounds. I've said this before. Black men, black women have a fear of failure. Black men have a fear of success. And with that knowledge, it hinders us greatly. Why are you afraid to be successful? Why are you afraid of responsibility, taking command, dictating destiny? Because in our culture, we shun it. And because we shun it, we stunt our growth as men. Yeah, we're afraid of succeeding because we're afraid to get. Oh, I don't want people to ask much of me. Because you've been taught since a little boy, the only time you're valuable is when you have service to everyone else, not even to yourself. That is shameful. A man said, "Black men are pretty much the only men that get survivor's guilt from success." Yep, yep. We're not told that, hey, it's okay to try and fail. We'll support you. White man can fail 10 fucking times in a row, but not one goddamn thing will be said about it. But a black man go out there and fail. See, nobody tried to do. Nope. Think about it. You may be called to protect a child who's lost. That may not be your purpose, but it's your destiny to help that child. I know there's some content creators be like, man, fuck that kid. Yeah, definitely Barack Obama suffers from it. I'm sorry that my wife couldn't be equal to me. Bitch, you're not. Get over it. There's times I had to help lost children in my life, reunite them with their parents. What if they would have met a pedophile? Sometimes, whatever gods you serve, ancestors or whatnot, put you in a position to show you how great and valuable you are to help people. That's how valuable you are to this universe. That the little small act of kindness, little small act of kindness might have prevented a great tragedy. We don't know. No one know. But yet, we're always told that we're less than. We're always told we're less than. And this is the greatest lie ever told. Is that for people who are considered less than, how many times were we always relied upon to save the world, to save the nation, to save the community? The people who were always considered less than save the world. That tells you how great you are. You kept America from splitting apart. You kept America from splitting apart. You liberated countries when you weren't even a fucking full citizen yourself. Your destiny was greater than anybody can see. Dictate things for yourself. Hmm. Until next time, folks. Woo! We out.